Today's a special day as we're having breakfast with the CEO of Zenith Watches, Jean-Frederic from Switzerland. What we'd like to do, John, Frederic, you've been in the watch industry for a long time. I'd love to get the state of the watch industry. As you know, it's been about 2 weeks from Basel. How is Basel 2012 for the company, but also the watch industry?
This year, Basel was very interesting because still growing. So we had very good feedbacks from the markets, and it seems that now Zenith is really on the right track and doing it well.
It's been 2 years since, or actually you've been with the company since 2009, correct?
That's right, yes.
And it's been 2 years, so now a lot of your goals and movements are starting to come into fruition. Tell us about some of the things that you've implemented. As this year you came out with some really interesting watches. One of them was the Pilot. And tell us a little about that.
Yeah, it's not only one watch, it's a whole collection actually, and that collection is called Pilot because the name Pilot was registered by Zenith a long time ago. You have to know that Zenith has been in the aviation since the plane are flying. So it's the brand having the strongest legacy in the history of planes, and we have this year a 58mm watch. We had Arnold Schwarzenegger on the booth checking the watch and buying it. He bought one titanium one and one gold one. It's a limited edition. The titanium is 250 pieces, the gold one is 70 pieces limited. And we have then another model very interesting in the Pilot collection, which is the wall timer and alarm. It's called the Doublematic. And we also have the chronograph, big date, which is just called Pilot Chronograph.
As the CEO of Zenith, I mean, you're basically known as a watchmaker CEO. And Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to almost every booth. He only bought a couple of watches, but he was there to buy special watches. How does it make you feel for him to go and actively pursue the watch and then buy it? It's almost like it's a vote of confidence. Tell us how that makes you feel.
It's definitely a vote of confidence because when you have somebody like Schwarzenegger, we all know that this gentleman has been, if I may say so, the boss or the governor of the, I guess, 7th economy in the world. So he's really somebody who knows what he does, and actually he selected Zenith, and for me, I'm very proud of it. You know, it means that we did that model, we designed, we had the idea, and then at the end you have the customer. So, and the customer is Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger. So it's really the cherry on the top of the cake.
And what makes Zenith such a special brand?
Many things, but mainly the original concept by the founder, which was to produce the most reliable and precise watches ever, which made Zenith awarded almost 3,000 times in its life, and this is a record never broken by any other companies. So the history, the way we produce watches, all the patent we registered, the company has been very creative for developing new mechanisms for the watch industry, but on the top, what makes Zenith very specific, very special, is that company has been part of the development of the Swiss watch industry, and without Zenith, today the Swiss watch industry wouldn't be what it is. So you have to understand that there is many brands in the watch industry, but no other brands has a so strong connection with the watch industry, actually.
Well, that's something that's real important because a lot of people don't understand how Zenith, as of last year, I don't know if things have changed, how you make 100% of your movements.
We do 100% of our movement in-house in Le Locle. It's a small town located 1,000 meters above the sea level in the Swiss mountains. It has been so for almost a century and a half, and it will stay for as long as we can. So it's really different, actually. Many brands have the same insight, and only a few brands can pretend that they master the development of their own movement, and Zenith does.
Well, that's something that is very, very special because I think it's only you, Patek, Rolex, and Jaeger LeCouture, correct?
Thank you.
Well, no, I think that's...
It's nice to put it on the map because you're right, actually. We are a part of a very selective club.
One of the things that I noticed at Basel is everyone's coming up with tourbillons. Every brand has tourbillons now. That's the buzzword. What do you think about that? Do you think it's a fade? Do you think there's a lot of tourbillons on the market that are not quality?
No, the brand you mentioned before, including Zenith, we master our own tourbillon. Means that if you buy a tourbillon, if you spend around 100,000 US dollars on a tourbillon, try to be sure that what is inside the watch is something which is really different. And it's like if you were buying a car with a V12 engine, you know, I mean, V12 engine, you buy them at maybe Aston Martin or Ferrari. But if a V12 was available for the whole car industry, any car could have a V12. And this is the same with tourbillon. You have one manufacturer producing tourbillon for the whole industry. Then there is no difference except the name, which means that those tourbillon will never hold their value. And for me, what is important is when you buy a watch, and this is what makes it different with a manufacturer watch, because if you buy a manufacturer watch, it will hold its value for generation. Check the second-hand markets or the auction market, houses like Antiquarium or Sotheby's, and you will see the value of Zenith watches. They are still there. Some of our watches are more expensive now than 40 years ago. So
that's a very powerful statement.
It makes a big difference, you know.
What watch do you wear daily? Tell us about the watch you're wearing right now.
Right now I'm wearing a Stratos Striking 10. Mm-hmm. So you see it's a chronograph with a ceramic bezel and flyback function. And the three colors are originally inspired by the very first chronograph made by Zenith in 1969, El Primero, which is the first high-frequency self-winding chronograph ever made. So it's really the identity of the brand. And that watch is called the Stratos, but was made on purpose for the trying to break the records of the speed of sound.
Oh wow!
There you will have an engineer jumping from the space and just reaching the speed of sound with its own body, which is something which never happened ever, and it's one of the last records to be broken on Earth.
And out of all the watches, if someone came in to you and said, look, I want to buy the most special watch you have on the market, money's not a concern, what watch would you recommend for their collection?
So we have the Christopher Columbus, you know, on the top of our collection. The Christopher Columbus is definitely something different. You spoke about the tourbillon. Tourbillon was invented 200 years ago to control the effect of gravity, but it does work only in one position, which is the vertical position. With the Christopher Columbus, you control the effect of gravity in any position, and this is the only wristwatch which is able to do it that way, currently speaking, and it's an invention of Zenith, and that watch is just fantastic. It's retail for around 200,000 K US dollars.
And what is the best movement or the most movement you're proud of with all the watch brands? Tell us about a movement that you take a lot of pride in.
You know, I mean, we're very proud about. It's not only a movement; it's a watch. It's the El Primero chronograph, because that watch, that movement became a legendary movement of the watch industry. It's considered today as an icon. It means that if you pretend you're a collector or you pretend you love watches, I mean, you need or you must have is definitely the El Primero chronograph. It's a legend.